It took me a while to reconcile the fact that my first experience with this was, I used to say less than consensual. It was just straight up rape, right? And so when the Me Too movement started really going mainstream a few years ago, my initial sort of reaction to that wasn't, I've never been one of those people that's like, oh, these women are lying, so on and so forth. It was more so, I was a little bit hardened because, one, at the same time that the Me Too movement went mainstream, I was starting to confront how that had impacted me, how it had negatively impacted me, my relationships with women, my relationships with other people, my inability to trust, so on and so forth. And so I had sort of hardened myself from that. What I've done in the years since is, one, I want to kind of do a twofold. One is that this is a very real experience. There's a very real trauma associated with it. Very real trauma I'm probably never completely getting over. And so that exists, and that's real, and that's valid. And I had to do the work, and will have to continue to do the work I don't even want to say heal from that, because I don't think you ever heal from something like that. But to be able to live actively and have fruitful and meaningful relationships, particularly romantic ones with women, in lieu of that being, sort of my initial encounter. On the flip side of that, I have talked to some guys that I know who have a similar experience, right? Who their first time, to be completely frank, was sexual assault. And unfortunately, some of them have the disposition to say, oh, well, it happens to men just as often as women, like it's no big deal. And I always push back on them, because my thought process there is, what happened to you is very sad, very traumatic, very emotionally draining. It has very real consequences for you and your family, the people who love you, so on and so forth. But that does not negate sort of the violent patriarchal society that we live in. And so your experience can be valid, your pain can be valid, the trauma that you're processing can be very valid, and is. And at the same time, it can be disproportionately so that women are victims of sexual assault and violent sexual assault at an alarming rate that we have not addressed properly within our society. Like, those two things can coexist.